So the Capcom leak. Now I haven't talked about it a lot on my channel, but I do play video games, right? I don't play as many as I used to back in the day, but I still have my current favorites and stuff like that. And one of them being Street Fighter here. I even brought out the hat as a prop that one of my best friends in the army gave me as a a birthday present like many years ago. It was right when Street Fighter V initially came out, because I'm a huge Street Fighter fan. I have been since like the early 90s. Street Fighter 2, obviously, no one played one. If they said they did, they're lying to you when it was in the arcades. But anyway, so I've refrained from talking about the leak, the Capcom leak, because there was always speculation in the air that it may not be true. However, I kind of felt like it was, especially considering like the Bitcoin heist and everything, or not heist, but like the how they're basically holding them up for Bitcoin. And the reason I knew that it was probably real, like the ransomware stuff, was because back when I used to follow a lot of cryptocurrency things, that was another one. Anyway, I digress. So what I wanted to talk about was the leak in particular. Some of the things I'm excited about, but mostly how I'm it's mostly a little bit ranty. And it's in terms of Street Fighter, because I'm a huge fan of Street Fighter, right? Like Street Fighter 5, I was there day one. When there was no arcade mode, survival mode was almost fucking impossible to get through to get the colors. The online was okay, but it wasn't like, it was barely serviceable, but you know, from at the time it was decent. All the way up to the release of Akuma. I think Street Fighter V's Akuma is my favorite version of Akuma. It's what made me like Akuma, because I always thought it was a bit overrated, but Street Fighter 5 Akuma, huge Rashid guy, all that stuff. Right? So with this leak though in particular, I'm a little bit concerned with Capcom. Now I have some theories that a lot of these leaks, this leak of in particular what I'm talking about is the list of games that were leaked, right? I don't think it's all of the games that Capcom has slated, because for one, there's no Devil May Cry 6, and with how successful Devil May Cry 5 was, to not have a Devil May Cry 6 at least being like an idea or a thought being put forward is just fucking ludicrous to me. Like, I'm like, the fact that that game did so well and they're not gonna do what's number 6, like, that's, anyway. So, but what cemented to me that this list was real was at the Game Awards the other night, Ghosts and Goblins got revealed. Now, if you followed the leaks at all, aside from the Street Fighter 5 DLC stuff that got leaked, but I'll talk about that in a minute. If you followed the leak at all, you would know that there was a Ghouls and Ghosts remaster that was on the list, or a new Ghouls and Ghosts game, right? Well, that got announced at the Game Awards, and my quick thoughts on it, I'm not a huge Ghouls and Ghosts fan. I was talking to my brother, I like Demon's Crest, so like Firebrand type shit I'm into more than regular Ghouls and Ghosts, but you know, I digress. I think the game kind of looks like shit. I don't like the art style for it, personally speaking. If you love it, hey, that's cool. It's not my thing particularly, but what that showed me when that game was announced was that the list was real. And for some of the things I'm fucking hyped for, a new Onimusha, are you kidding me? Hell yeah, I'm hyped for that. New Captain Commando? Fuck yeah, that's amazing. A new Final Fight? Fuck yeah. And then I got to Street Fighter 6. Now, I've been playing Street Fighter 5 actively, even when I was deployed back in 2017. I still played it. Now, I couldn't really play it online, but I still played it. And I've bought all the DLC. I've bought all the versions of it. PC, of course. Like I don't have the physical copies. I want to actually get the physical copies of Street Fighter 5, like all of them, because I think all the box arts look pretty cool. Minus the first box art, I think it kind of looks like shit. Just didn't really do with its fucking Wolverine shit. But anyway, it's a bit concerning. Right now, this is why I think that this list was leaked way before, because I feel like this list was from back when Ono was still in charge of like Street Fighter. No, don't get me wrong, I appreciate Ono and I appreciate all the things he's done for Street Fighter, but when I saw there was a Street Fighter 6, Street Fighter 6, Super Street Fighter 6, and a Super Street Fighter 6 Champion Edition, I think that's what it was, that was already slated for release, I couldn't help but be a little fucking pissed off. Considering the fact that it proved that Capcom was intentionally holding back content. Now, if you were around during the Street Fighter X Tekken days, you'll know that the big debacle with that was the on-disc DLC. Now, I have stood up for Street Fighter X Tekken for fucking years. Primarily because Dudley's on it, and he was one of those on-disc DLCs, and Dudley's my favorite Street Fighter character, so if you ever find Dudley memorabilia, you fucking email me, because I would love to get an action figure or something like that. Even though I don't collect much shit, it would still be cool to have that. Anyway. When Street Fighter X Tekken came out, everyone was pissed because of the on-disc DLC. I was pissed. But I think the problem is... Now, and there are certain issues with the gameplay for Street Fighter X Tekken, but it's not as bad as people say. Like, go back and play it now. It's fun. And if they were to do a sequel to it, they could iron out the kinks and make it better. And I've always said that. But what really pissed people off was the fact that Capcom was doing this shady shit where they were trying to get more money out of people when the content was already fucking made, or at least planned on being made, right? I understand from a business standpoint that it's good to plan ahead a couple of years in what you want to do. I'm 100%, I get that. I don't hate capitalism, you know, despite what a lot of people may think. I think capitalism can be good if it's done correctly. Right? Now, I won't get into politics or political theory or business theory or any shit like that here, but how the fuck are you gonna make a Street Fighter 6 and then already have your expansion packs planned out like that? To me, that shows me that they're stifling fucking content that was gonna win. It was the same fucking problem that happened with Street Fighter 5. And I'm sorry, if you weren't there at the launch of Street Fighter 5, it was fucking brutal. Like, again, if you were a diehard Street Fighter 5 fan, or Strike Fighter fan, you enjoyed it. I enjoyed the shit out of it, but it was still brutal in terms of, like, anything. The roster was pretty fucking weak from the initial standpoint. One of my new favorite characters was in there, Rashid, and I love Rashid. But even despite that, look at the rest of the fucking roster for Street Fighter 5. It was pretty bad in terms of the initial roster. In my opinion, of course. So, I'm a little bit worried that Capcom is still going to be pulling the same shit that they were. Despite the fact that they look like they're kind of going down the right path, kind of taking this new approach to how they're doing DLC and stuff like that. I'm fucking hyped as shit for Dan. I don't care what anybody says. The fact that the Danster's coming back, oh, I'm so excited. He's not even my main, he's actually my little brother's main. And I'm excited. I actually want to try out Oro probably the most. I mean, anyway, so it kind of has me a bit concerned because that to me is what killed Street Fighter X Tekken. I think that if they didn't have that controversial on-disc DLC, because you gotta remember back then, the on-disc DLC, then they had the chapter from fucking, was it Asura's Wrath, that was crucial to the story that you had to buy. It just shows me that Capcom, at least back when this initial list was leaked to these hackers, right? That they were still doing like this shady shit of releasing the same game over and over and over again with a couple extra characters, right? Now I get it. You can make more money by releasing DLC packs or expansions later on, but to me, it just feels like as a fan, you know, you're buying these games when they come out, right? You expect a certain level of quality and a certain level of polish and features and all this stuff, right? So when you release these various versions and you have them planned out like that, it shows me that you're already now, I know other companies do this and they're worse at it, but it hurts me specifically because Capcom is like in my top 5 favorite companies. You're gimping your products intentionally, and you're slowly spoon-feeding the full content. And again, other people do that with their fucking DLC and shit. But Capcom, they charge fucking $40 to $50 per expansion pack whenever these fucking come out. And they tout them as these big overhauls, and they genuinely are. But my question then becomes, was this the initial plan from the beginning, and then you just took shit out to sell more? The whole idea when Street Fighter 2 came out, and even 3 when those came out, was after the games were made, they wanted to improve upon them and make them better and add additional features, stuff like that. That's why you got away with Street Fighter 2, 50 different fucking versions, and the 3 different versions of 3, and 3 different versions of Alpha, that's why you got away from it, or what got away with it. Nowadays, you can't really do that. You have companies like SNK that, yeah, they're doing the Battle Pass. Now, I'm not a big fan of the Battle Pass stuff in general, but I can at least entertain it. And I won't lie, I get hyped. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I don't get hyped when they announce these new characters. But here's the thing, is like the whole passes are usually like 20 bucks. You know, how can you, 35 probably at the most. So, and again, those are probably decided in the beginning too, and then they're made later on. But how can you justify already having down the pipeline 3 separate games of the same game being made? Because if you look at that list, there's no other game that's like, there's not a Ghosts and Goblins, you know, version 2.0, 3.0 and shit like that. It's just Street Fighter. And it's because they know people will buy it. Like myself, fortunately. Aside from that, you know, that was my big rant. So if you got past that, you know, congratulations. After that, you know, there's a new Mega Man game. Obviously, hoping it's Mega Man Legends 3, but I doubt that it's Mega Man Legends 3. Another cool one would be like a Battle Network / Star Force collection. I actually have the Mega Man Zero Legacy collection on the Switch. It's fucking amazing if you haven't played it. The big one, though, that I'm probably the most hyped for, again, aside from, okay, I do have to circle back to Street Fighter 6, because there's something I forgot to talk about. This is the DLC. And this will probably wrap things up, because I've been kind of ranting for a bit. I am excited for a potential Street Fighter 6, but I do think they should take a break on it. The main reason why, they went from Street Fighter 4 to Street Fighter 5 back-to-back, right? And I don't feel that that's enough time to breathe. So, what I mean by that is, I'm going to use NetherRealm as an example. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of NetherRealm games, especially recently. I like Injustice 2, or at least I like the look of it. I didn't like Mortal Kombat 11. I thought they kind of made my favorite character look not the way I was expecting it, which was Cabal. I don't like what they did with Cabal in 11, but anyway, I digress. So, at least with them, they do a different game. They do, like, you know, Mortal Kombat, then an Injustice, then a Mortal Kombat, and, you know, and so on and so forth. I think next, I've heard rumors that they're doing, like, a horror movie-themed game, which I don't know how well that'll sell, because horror, in and of itself, is a very niche genre. I'll buy it, because I'm a fucking huge horror fucking buff. Well, not buff, but, like, a nut, I guess. So, we'll see what happens there, but I wish Capcom would pay a little bit more attention. Now, again, I'm preaching to the choir, because everybody who fucking plays Capcom fighting games has said this, too, but it would be nice to get something else aside from just Street Fighter, like, do like a Street Fighter and like a Rival Schools, and then a Street Fighter again, and then like a Darkstalkers. You know, switch it up, you know, put something else out too, because they have a plethora of fighting games that they could be doing. Now, I know a couple years ago they tried to do a Darkstalkers game, but I guess the Darkstalkers collection didn't sell well in the PS3, so they scrapped it, and now that's why Fong is in fucking Street Fighter 5, because it was originally meant for Darkstalkers. But I just don't see why they don't do that. Now, my other conspiracy theory here, connecting the dots, right? Now, they said that the reason Street Fighter 6 got canceled or delayed, or they had to rework it, was because of a team mechanic that didn't work, right? Now, coincidentally, one of the new characters of the DLC for the final pass for Street Fighter 5 is, what's her name? Akira. Now, I haven't played a lot of Rival Schools, right? I played a little bit back in the day, and I always thought it looked cool. I just never got around to really, like, messing around with it. But Akira comes from Rival Schools, and in Rival Schools, they have this whole team mechanic thing that's built around it. Now, my theory is that Street Fighter 6, so Street Fighter 5, I look at it as like a Street Fighter cross Final Fight game, because there are so many fucking Final Fight characters in Street Fighter 5. It's crazy. Yeah, it makes sense, too, because Final Fight's technically in the same universe, and like it was, you know, that whole, you know, was a Street Fighter game at one point, blah, blah, blah. But I think what they were going to do with Street Fighter 6, at least initially, was do the same thing with 5, but this time focus on like Rival School characters, but just like grown up and adults. So I think this DLC set of characters we're getting were supposed to be like initial roster people for Street Fighter 6. Now, I could be wrong. It just seems a little too suspect. Consider the fact that Capcom had already planned out like fucking 2 expansions for Street Fighter 6. I almost feel like Street Fighter 6 is either going to be something completely different, or it's going to be a new fighting game that they're making in general. Because the fact that Akira's coming, and some of these characters seem like they would have been like good in like a team mechanic based game. I don't know, my conspiracy alarm is kind of going off there. So yeah, that was me ranting for a bit on Capcom's leak stuff. Nothing really necessarily too positive, but I am excited to see what happens with Capcom. But I don't know, this is just kind of my thoughts with the leak now that it's kind of settled down a bit and there's no. Oh, Resident Evil, fucking, I'm hyped for Resident Evil 8. Like, Resident Evil 7. Yeah. Resident Evil 7 is my favorite Resident Evil game of all time. Now, okay, I know, throw the tomatoes at me. I know it's not a traditional Resident Evil game, but neither was 4. I'm sorry, people. 4 was not. Like, 4 was fucking amazing, though. Like, I won't lie. 4 was what got me back into Resident Evil. I liked 2. That was like the only one I really liked when I was younger. I was more of a Silent Hill guy, I guess, personally speaking. But I appreciated Resident Evil 4 was. 4 was what really got me into the series. Never finished 5, 6 never played. 7 is what got me really invested though. Like I played the shit out of 7 so much, and then when Resident Evil 2 Remake came out, I couldn't believe how fucking good that game was. It was so good, it blew my mind, and to this day, it's probably one of my favorite games. It's so good. I think 7's better, but just the overall package. I should do an off the cuff about Resident Evil 7 because I have a lot to say about that. But Resident Evil Remake 3 was okay. It was so fucking short though. I don't think it was worth the $60. Price tag, I think it should have been like $40 maybe. But again, it came with the whole Resistance game. And if you could find people, because when I tried playing a day when I couldn't find anybody to play with. So it was alright, I guess. But I am fucking hyped for 8. Because if they even make it half as good as 7 was, I think it'll still be a great game. Fix out some of the minor grievances, especially like the ending, like the tunnel. If you played 7, the tunnel at the end, it was still good. I enjoyed the shit out of it. But it wasn't as scary at the end. If you kind of keep the same tone throughout the whole game, I think that'd be perfect. But I'm hyped as fuck for that. So anyway, this is like the first time I've really dedicated a lot of time to talking about video games. I do want to talk about more in the future. It's just I don't play as many video games as I used to back in the day. So maybe once in a blue moon, I will do like an off the cuff on video games or stuff like that. So anyway, if you agree with some of my rambles and shit like that, cool, let me know in the comments below. If you completely disagree, hey, you know what, fuck me, I guess, right? No, it's totally cool too. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys next time.